What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I have something here for you to look at. We're going to take a quick overview of the T8S by Radiolink. This is a super portable, tiny, small radio transmitter for any type of quads out there. You can also fly fixed wing with this. You can use a variety of different receivers that we're going to talk about. It also supports Sbus and PPM for working with any of your quads with Betaflight. So if you're just getting into the hobby and you want something that's around the $50 price point with the receiver, it's actually a pretty decent deal that is going to be really lightweight and something that you can just take out and do some close-in proximity flying with. The T8S is a pretty nice option. Let's go ahead and get into the specifics of this remote, and I'll talk about the features and how it's updatable, and we'll also talk about user configuration and binding and all that good stuff. Now, inside the box, you get a few different things. You get the radio, you get the R8 FM Sbus or PPM receiver with a single antenna off here, and that one has about a kilometer range on it, which is pretty much about a standard of any XM Plus type receiver out there without the diversity. You can get the XM Plus in two ways, though, with singular antenna or diversity, meaning two antennas coming off of this particular receiver. They do have some diversity versions of these Radiolink receivers. Now, we also get a USB converter right here. This is going to plug into the bottom of it, and you can plug in your USB port coming to your computer if you want to go to your computer or your Android phone for your app. I did not get the other version, the USB-C cable, in the box with mine, but I also did get a cable for charging it as well. So you can plug this into the bottom of the unit right here. And there's a 1S 800 milliamp battery inside this, which will give you about 5 hours operating time. My radio came laid out in the mode 2 option, which is the throttle on the left. So we have throttle here, yaw here, we have aileron and elevator. And it is set up in the Frsky standard, which is AETR. So inside Betaflight, if you were trying to configure this in the channel maps menu, you're going to have channel 1 as your ailerons, which is A, and then your elevator is going to be channel 2, and your throttle is going to be channel 3, and your yaw, your rudder, is going to be on channel 4. And then on to the back of the radio right here, we have 2 3-position switches. Channel 5 right here, channel 6 is a momentary, channel 7 is a 3-position switch, and channel 8 is sort of a gimbal wheel type of pot switch. Kind of nice. Also, we have the radio power button in the middle. You can just momentarily press that and it'll turn on, giving your LED display here. And my battery charge level, right now I'm at 2 bars out of 4. And you can long press it for a second, and that'll also turn off the radio. We also have trim switches here. As we turn on the radio here, you can press on the trim switches, which normally we don't use these for any type of multi-rotor setup in Betaflight. And on the back of the radio, you can see the internal battery is a 1S 800 milliamp battery, and it charges at about 2 amps. So you want to charge this about 2 amp max if you're using any type of external USB charging device. You can charge it in the field, which is cool, or you can charge it in any type of AC outlet. The R8 FM is the receiver that comes along with it, and as I said, it does support Sbus or PPM. And what's nice about this is if you got this bundle for around $50, you could go on the Banggood website and order yourself a PNP quad, which would be plug and play, which also means it needs a receiver. Most of the quads out there do need some type of Sbus receiver, and this one weighs about 2 grams, and I'll show you that here in a second on the scale. But we have standard inputs on here. We have our signal pin up here, that's Sbus or PPM, 5 volts, and ground at the very bottom, and it has something called ID set down here. That's just basically your bind button. So I'll show you how this binds up in a minute. But if you get a PMP quad, I have one here. This is the Gap RC. I believe it was the Skip, and you can find the signal wire at the very top right there. That's going to be your white wire, the red wire, and the black wire. And the signal goes at the very top and just plugs in just like that. And now you're pretty much ready to bind this up to your quad, and then you can go inside Betaflight and set up your channel maps. And just to give you guys some size comparison, the X-Lite Pro over here by Frsky, it looks gigantic next to the T8. This is a much smaller and more portable radio. If you're going to go on a trip and you knew you're going to fly anything from a 5-inch down to your micros, this would be a nice radio to pack out, because The sticks can screw off. You can take these off and put new ones on. If you want to put a little fatter one on there, you can do that if you're a pincher. But the size difference of both of these radios, I thought the X-Lite Pro was small compared to flying larger size radios until I saw the T8, a much smaller, more portable radio. Now let's put the X-Lite Pro on the scale and see what we get. So if you're walking through the airport, you're carrying 435 grams with you on your trip versus the T8. Let's see what the T8S weighs. 145 grams total weight. Huge difference. So let me show you how it binds up. It's actually pretty easy. I'm just going to plug in the battery here, and I'm going to long press this for about a second, the ID set button. Just going to press that and you'll see it start to flash. So now we have a flashing LED there. And now we're just going to turn on the radio. And once the radio is turned on, it should go solid. And now I have a bound up receiver. But it also does come bound up out of the box to this radio. Okay, so now that we know that the receiver is bound up, let's just go ahead and connect the USB cable and check out our channel maps to see if it's indeed connected inside Betaflight. So let's go ahead and go down to the receiver tab here and double check that AETR is set up correctly. So the first one is going to be channel 1, which is going to be your aileron. Let's go ahead and check the roll axis there. Looks good. Now the pitch, which is E, channel 2. Channel 3 is your yaw, which is rudder. And throttle is T, which is channel 4. And our 3 position switches, we have channel 5 here on aux 1. So if you're setting up your modes, you're just going to go back and forth between this screen and your modes to make sure that this little yellow dot is moving back and forth. And normally I like to take this bar and slide it over to the right. We're going to go ahead and press save there, and that will be my arm switch. So the arm switch looks like it's set to the right hand side, which is channel 5, which is where I want it. You can also set it to the other side if you want to do. Go back to the receiver tab here and find out which switch that is on. That's actually for the beeper, and that's on aux 3. But I'm going to have my arm switch on this side. So that's pretty much all there is to it in Betaflight. And if you need to refer to back to your modes and back to the receiver tab, you can do that just by going back and forth here to set up all your switches. Once you've done it once, it's pretty easy. So now that you know most of the features about the radio, it is like stupidly simple to set up. If I had something like this to begin with, I think this would have been a lot easier than trying to set up my Tyrannus radio with the computer interface display. The app is actually pretty nice. I don't have my Android phone here to show you that, but it is very cut and dry. You can go in there, you can switch channels, reverse servos, and things like that inside the Android app. And it only works with Android, doesn't work with the iPhone. So iPhone users kind of left out in the cold on this one. So other than that, binding it up is also really easy, which is nice for beginners. Charging it takes a couple hours time to get that little battery charged. It's not a very big battery in there, but 5 hours operating time is pretty much going to give you a full day's worth of flying with it. You can also bind this up to your Tiny Whoop type quads out there. It is not compatible with the Frsky receivers, so don't order any type of quad that's going to require like a built-in SPI receiver that's going to be Frsky. You want to make sure that you have external tabs on the flight controller if you need to hook up one of your own Radiolink receivers. So you're going to have to use the Radiolink receivers, but I think in future versions of this, if they do a second version and they only made it about $10 more with some type of module system in the back where you could have a multi-protocol module to be able to bind up other type of receivers out there, or any type of receivers, that would be huge, and they would sell, they would sell like crazy. But I think for the price, this one should probably be one of the best sellers as far as for the new guys getting into the hobby, and anybody that just wants a really cool little miniature sort of a proximity type of radio. I think it's actually pretty easy to work with, and you saw all the basics for it. It is pretty easy to set up and just get out there and fly. And the best thing is that the gimbals feel decent for the price. They don't feel toy-like, which is nice. But thanks again for watching my review, guys. This is the Radiolink This was the T8S model, around 50 bucks. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.